Hey everybody, this is Doc from the Ebony Ivory Cigar Podcast. Play my intro. Hey everybody, this is Doc from the Ebony Ivory Cigar Podcast. So yesterday did some upgrades to the motorcycle, added a tab, performance, exhaust, added some full footboards for my wife, added some leather around the rider floorboard, added the back seat and luggage rack, also added the heel shifter, as well as some crash guards, and of course the white wall tires. Today I added some tassels onto my grips. So take a look at it. Also last video, I forgot to let you hear what it sounds like. So I'll do that as well today. So this is the bike with the tassels hanging down. Hey everybody, this is Doc from the Ebony Ivory Cigar Podcast, and here with my wife, Yanka. We just got off of the ride of my 2017 Indian Chief Vintage for the first time. Took her for a first ride. As you see in the previous videos, I bought it, did some upgrades to it, and now took her for a ride. So wanted to get her first impressions of the ride in comparison to all of our other bikes and so forth. Anyway, Yanka, how was the ride on the bike?
It was absolutely outstanding. I loved the ride, and even like the seat, because on the one down south, it's a big, comfy, cushioned seat. But this, I was very comfortable on the seat. The suspension was good because I wasn't hitting all the bumps in it or anything. It was just a very pleasant ride. I love the aesthetics of the bike, but I was very pleasantly surprised that it was so smooth.
Well, one of the things with all of the Harley Davidsons that we have, first thing I have to do is change the suspension because Harley Davidson suspension is crap. I usually end up buying the Wilbur's full suspension for the front, which are inboarded forks, as well as the rear, as well as change the seats. On the bike that she's speaking of, the custom Road Glide that I built for her, it has the Salomon Road sofa seat on there, which is very, very comfortable. It also has the backrest, which goes with the Tour Pack, the King Tour Pack. And then on my other Harleys, I also have Salomons, whether Salomon Solo for myself, extended reach. But on this bike, the Indian, I am thoroughly impressed because I didn't have to change suspension. The suspension on the Indian is phenomenal. It just glides over the bumps, and the seat is very, very comfortable. Don't have to change the seat as well, which is important, seeing that seat is cowhide, made out of cowhide. It's a quarter band color that matches the saddlebags as well as the fringes and things that's made for that bike, which give it the very vintage look that it has. So that's very impressive. Still a couple of things that I would like to change on it. As you see in the previous video, I did change the exhaust to the tab. I run tab on everything as far as a big cruiser. On the Indian, I use the 50 cals. On the Indians, the 50 cal are not available because it needs more of a back pressure. So on the Indian, it's a 4.5 caliber exhaust, and they call it the BAM sticks. But I still have to change the front headlight and passing light because those are halogen, and so it's important to have the ability to see across the whole entire road. The turn signals and the brake on the Indian are LEDs, but the headlight as well as the passing light are still halogen, so we'll be changing those out to LEDs for safety. One of the things people don't understand, it's important to have rideability, as far as comfort, but also you need to think about safety. The reason why I go with the louder pipes, and I go with a deeper sound so it's not obnoxious, It doesn't sound like those loud shotgun pipes, but it's more of a deep rumble. As she saw today, riding up in the country, you run across deer, but when they can hear you so far away, they either run and scatter because their hearing is a defense mechanism for deer, or they try to freeze so that you can't see them. And we saw one today. And that's also why it's important to have good road visibility as far as headlights and lights. Currently, I was switching between the low beam and the high beam to get more visibility, but with the LEDs, you don't have to do that at all. So I will be changing that out. The other thing, all my Harleys, I have done big bore kits. So I have a 128 on one of my bikes, a 131, and now a 135 on 3 different Harleys. This bike comes with 111. In comparison to those bikes, it feels like a moped. I mean, it still has good torque, for 2 people riding up, but I would like a little bit more horsepower, even a little bit more torque for being able to pass without having to downshift. So I'm considering Indian has a 111 to 116 stage 3 kit, which is their big bore. It actually gives you more torque and horsepower than getting a 116 crate. They actually compare their 116 stage 3 kit more comparable to the 121 versus the 116 that comes stock with a lot of bikes. So that's another big investment. So write it out as it is for maybe the rest of this riding season, and consider upgrading that to the big bore kit for Indian. It'll be my first big bore kit. This is my first Indian. So far I like the bike. It's very comfortable. It's a nice ride, and I really wanted a vintage type of bike, that nostalgia. It's my belief that those days of the old school iron and wide white walls and the chrome are gone. They're days of the past. You see every bike now is going to a more retro style. I say it looks like a spaceship. I mean, even the brand new 24 Harley Davidsons, the Indians, the Gold Wings, they all similar for our big cruisers. Even the BMW gives you more of a plastic look, as well as this new age space, like it belongs on a Terminator or something. Originally, I looked at Harley Davidson Road King Classic, but I just couldn't find a classic that fit my taste as well as low mileage. So after seeing the King of the Backers and Troy winning it this year, championship for Indians, I consider the Indians. And when I began to look at it, the different options, I fell in love with the vintage. With the Indian, you have those fringes and tassels that hang down the white walls. You have the Chief Indian emblem on the front fender, and then the fenders are like full skirts, and just chrome throughout. I think it's a very, very nice look. So it reminds you of something out of the 50s. However, I don't like riding old bikes. I like new technology. I like cruise control, ABS, traction control, all those things that make your ride more comfort than trying to fiddle with the old bike that's on a spring. Very uncomfortable and problematic. So this gave me that old vintage look, but with the new technology. 2017, found it with 7,000 miles. It didn't have anything I wanted on there, but I added to it. If you want to see those upgrades, please look at the previous video. I think it's entitled "I Got Myself an Indian" or something like that. Anyway, any other thoughts?
The windshield. I think that made a huge difference. Because that wasn't like blowing.
Yeah,
so
the vintage has a nice windshield. It's a quick detached windshield. It's literally 2 levers. You lift up and you pop it right off and pop it right back on. But it adds to the look of the bike.
Yes,
as well, it actually serves a purpose because it keeps all the wind off of myself as well as her, and throws it right over our heads. And I'm a pretty tall guy. So no need to change windshield. It's one of the things I do on my Harleys. Every single Harley, I have changed the windshield to a Clockworks windshield because either they were too short or ugly or just didn't serve a purpose. So a lot of the upgrades that I found myself doing to the Harley Davidsons, I don't have to do this bike because it just right out of the manufacturing came very comfortable, very aesthetically appealing, as well as a lot of the safety features are already there. So I think it's a great bike. I will be holding on to it. I don't ever see myself selling it. because I think they're going to be collectors, just like the people who were born in the mid 1900s who held on to their bike from the 50s and 60s. Whether it was a flathead or a knucklehead or any of those old bikes, they're now worth $70,000, $80,000, some of them $100,000. So be holding on to it. Anything else?
The floorboards that you put on, and I have to talk about just quickly the heat, because we tried out that Indian. It was a different one last year, but it wasn't throwing off the heat. This bike wasn't throwing off the heat that it had, because it was like burning my legs.
So one of the things, again, if you referenced the previous video, I changed the passenger came with pegs, and you can't put a whole foot on there. So I did switch those out to full floorboards. I do that as well to all Harley Davidsons. I get her a full floorboard to feel comfortable. And then what she's referencing is when we were looking at getting a tour bike to our collection, we looked at a lot of bikes. The Gold Wing, the BMW K1200 Americana, and I think the Chief Pursuit, whatever big Indian bagger. And for whatever reason, that ride wasn't as comfortable, and it gave off a lot of heat. She said her ankles and her toes were on fire. And this bike just didn't have that. Now, I don't know what it's going to feel like when we switch it to a big bore motor, but I just feel like it has so much airflow going through the bike that's not captured or blocked by a lot of the body panels on the bike that I don't think it'd be a problem. Like I said, it's just a very good, comfortable ride, nice cruising. It's not a bike that you would want to do like long trips on. I would say go with your big bagger that has radios and things of that nature. But for putzing around, short trips, going around the city, maybe taking an hour, 2-hour ride, it's perfect. It's a great bike. I must give my hats off to Indian. It is a little different in riding it. Harleys like to be around about that 4,000 RPMs prior to shifting. You're still feeling power when you shift. Indian is a lot different. They're more of a low-end torque, so they like to shift around about 3,000, and that's where they hum at. So you will find yourself getting through the gears a lot quicker on an Indian, getting to 6th gear versus a Harley. Where I'm at on 3rd gear on a Harley, and again, it's their big bore motors. I'm about 5th gear on the Indian. I never use my 6th gear on the Harley because you have to be around about 130, 140 to use 6th gear. We went on the freeway and we did use 6th gear, right around about 70, 80 miles an hour. I was in the 6th gear, which is almost like an overdrive. How did it feel in comparison to road riding? We went through some turns and then we got on the freeway.
Well, first let's talk about when we were going on the winding road. You got kind of low. We were low.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That bike, the Vintage likes to turn. It has a low gravity and it's almost central. So when you lean, the bike likes to keep on leaning. Yeah. So when you're going into a turn and you're leaning, it'll just pull right and keep on leaning. So I found myself kind of straightening it up a few times. Just a little bit to get used to. I did scrape the underneath of the floorboard, which is your lean indicator, a lot. The bike sits lower than a Harley. So with the Harley, there's more leaning. You have to lean that bike. It is a heavier bike, a bigger bike. One of the Harleys is 1,100 pounds. The other one is 1,000, and then the new CDO ST is around about 850. But they're higher bikes, because they are big baggers. They sit up higher, and so you really have to lean that bike if you're turning a corner, at a good speed or higher speed. And the Indian, because it sits so low, it has a low sense of gravity. I mean, you just lean and want to keep on leaning. Not leaning where you feel like it's unstable or fall off. It's just, you could take a turn a lot more aggressively in the Indian than you can in the Harley Davidson. What about the freeway?
That's why I brought up the windshield, because anytime we're riding the other bike, I get a little more wind. But I thought it took off very well because it was a car in front of us and you just got caught up with it. And then it was just like a nice smooth ride. And I just really appreciate that wind wasn't like cutting in my ear. So it was nice. It was smooth on the highway. I really appreciated that.
Now, to be fair, on my Harley Davidson, I like a shorter, darker tinted windshield because it looks cool.
Yeah, it does.
If I wanted to throw it over our heads the same way, I can do that, but I think they look dorky. But in the Indian, the tall windshield actually is part of the appeal
right.
of the bike. So it's not that Harley Davidson has bad windshields, but they're ugly. Just reason why I switch them out. But you can also go with a tall windshield. But those are, again, we have 2-row glides and we have a street glide, and tall windshield just don't look that great on those bikes. But on a vintage, it serves a purpose. A tall windshield, it looks good, and it comes in handy. It really works. Again, you could take it off. I don't see myself taking it off. There's no need. I think it looks great with it on. Anything else?
No, that's it. That smooth, quick ride on the freeway was, really enjoyed that.
And one of the things that, on the big baggers, you always have some type of USB port or cigarette lighter that you can use. This vintage didn't have that. And so what I did was I literally wired my own car charger to the battery and ran it underneath the seat as well as the gas tank. And it looks nice, so we don't have that capability. Because with the vintage, you don't have radio, you don't have GPS. And so I use my phone a lot for GPS. And so now it can stay charged while I use it. So it's a great functionality. The only thing missing on the bike that I would like to have is heated grips. However, putting heated grips on this vintage is not just as easy as buying heated grips. Yeah, they didn't make heated grips for the vintage, and so you have to go with the Roadmaster heated grips, which does fit, but it requires you to buy 2 wiring harnesses, the grips themselves, a switch, and something else. It's about $600 in parts just to get the heated grips, and about another $150 to have it installed. So it's doable, but it's about a $750 swing. I don't know if I ride the bike that often. I did have on my Gore-Tex gloves, with the carbon fiber, and I was comfortable. But it still relatively was 56, 57 degrees this evening, so it hasn't got really down to the cold temperature. I use heated grips on all my bikes. Even the BMW has heated grips, as well, of course, all the Harleys. So it's one of those things. If I really want it, I'll bite the bullet and spend $750 for heated grips, which is twice the price of what you would normally pay. But it's a bike that you're keeping, you enjoy riding. Of course, you would never get your money back out of it, but I say, buy things for your comfort, your safety, and the things that you like. Make your bike your own. Anything else? All right. So this is Doc from the Ebony Ivory Cigar Podcast and my spoiled wife, Yanka. Please do subscribe to the channel, like and comment. In this channel, we talk everything about cigars, bourbons, motorcycles, finance, and anything that's having fun. If you're not enjoying your life, you're not doing it right. Have a great day.